Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to all the startups. Welcome to all the scale-ups. This is today a webinar about the RobotUnion, which is the Pan-European Robotics Acceleration Program, which is funded under the program Horizon 2020. Régis Samla, I will be your host for today. And this webinar will be an interactive session. You will have the opportunity to send us your questions, and we will answer everything we can at the end of this webinar. And for today, I have two guests. We welcome Géraldine André-Augustin, CEO of BlueMorpho. So good afternoon, Géraldine.
Good afternoon, Régis.
So before we start, could you give us a few words about the activity of BlueMorpho, who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So as you know, BlueMorpho, we are lean innovation doer. So we are working on the partnering mode to design and operate ecosystem to accelerate innovation. And we are focused on deep tech, digital and smart systems. So what does it mean to be a lean innovation doer? So basically, we are working on bankable challenges. We are identifying solutions expected by key players and which they are ready to invest in, and we are looking for the right people to solve their expectations. If this solution doesn't exist because it's not ready yet, then we make it happen and we support the development of those kind of solutions. So this is the way we are doing. It's really related to ecosystem designing because the people able to make this kind of new solution has to work on the relevant ecosystems. How do we do that? Basically, we are collaborating with the full ecosystems. We are collaborating with large corporations. We are collaborating with private investors, research organizations, startups, SMEs, institutions like the European Commission, as today project. And the goal is really to achieve disruptive innovation. So you have here some example of partners we are working with. And as you can see, there are already some players quite interested in robotics, as Trump, as Bosch, but many others as well. So we are here also to provide the access to this network and ecosystem. Why people are collaborating with BlueMorpho is to accelerate their access to markets and their new product introduction. So how do we do that? We are lean innovation player, meaning that we are providing concrete technical and market validation earlier in the innovation cycle. And by doing that, we are really reducing the development time and the access to markets. So BlueMorpho is active since 2015. We have developed more than 50 development programs right now. And the people we are working with told us they have gained minimum of 1 year of development, which is great, and they are quite happy about this. So we are really engaging new players in deep tech, digital, and smart systems.
Thank you, Géraldine. So this is for the activity of BlueMorpho, and we have also our second guest, who is Roy Rodriguez. And Roy, you are the coordinator of the RobotUnion program. So good afternoon, Roy. Roy, we cannot hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, good afternoon.
Okay, I was really afraid that we lost you, but we got you back. Thank you. So, Roy, before we start, could you, in a nutshell, introduce yourself maybe and introduce also the activity of Funding Box, who is the coordinator of this action?
Yeah, well, as you said, I'm Roy Rodriguez. I'm managing RobotUnion program in Funding Box. Funding Box is the coordinator of RobotUnion. I have been involved in acceleration programs since 2014. I'm managing today a portfolio of more than 100 companies. In Funding Box, we are European leaders in cascade funding in financial support to third parties. In fact, since 2014, we have managed more than 50 million euros of cascade funding projects and accelerated more than 150 companies. One of the main achievements there is that the top 10 accelerated companies went on to receive 20 times the public investment received from us. And we have created a deal flow of more than 12,000 companies with a global reach in total, with a total impact of more than 500 million impacts. It's important to know that we collaborate also always with the main actors in each of the projects that we are working in, and some of the actors that collaborated with us are, for example, I don't know, PSA, NL, or Docomo Digital, just to give you a shot. And one of the projects, one of the acceleration programs that we have are managing, Impact, was highlighted as one of the top 10 accelerators in the world, together with Techstars of 500 startups in the last report of 2016.
Okay, thank you very much, Roy. So this is indeed very impressive. And before we enter into the core of the discussion about RobotUnion, I would like to have our first interactive session with the audience. And to better understand what are the expectations of the people today, I would like to launch a first questionnaire. And this is not a difficult question. It will be an easy one to start. So I just would like to know if the people who are currently attending to the webinar have already started their application form into the Funding Box platform. So we can see that already a lot of people. That's interesting. That's moving. So we have people currently. Let's say that 2/3 of the people have already started. 60% of the people have already started the application form. So I guess that the people here are today they may not have completed their application form. So the objective for us is then to better explain what we're going to do, what are the expectations and the eligibility criteria. So thank you everyone for answering to this first questionnaire. And now let's get into it. So Roy, so could you give us a quick introduction on this RobotUnion program? What are the objectives and what do we want to do in this project?
Okay, yeah. Well, RobotUnion is a robotics acceleration program in which we will invest 4 million euros equity-free among 40 companies in the next years. The main goal of RobotUnion is to stimulate the SMEs in robotics sector to develop challenging technologies. So, yeah. Each of the companies that participate in the program can get up to 223,000 euros in equity free, and the best companies in each of the batch will have the possibility to access up to or around 1 million euros of private investment. This is the funding value proposition, a combination of equity-free funding from European public funds and private funding coming from VCs and investors and private investors. Okay, who is involved in the project? In RobotUnion, we are 14 partners from 7 countries all over Europe and Canada. We Funding Box are the coordinators. And as you will see through the whole presentation, we will have the support of key players in each of their fields of expertise. For example, we will have the support of Mobile World Capital in the dissemination of the activities. This organization are the host of Mobile World Congress event and 4 years from now event in Barcelona, and that is also replicated in September in Silicon Valley and in June in Shanghai. We will have also the support of top research and technological organizations from different countries, as acceleration partners, investment partners, and also corporates that will support the companies in the different verticals, as you will see in the next slides. In RobotUnion, we are looking for companies in the robotics sector, and we are prioritizing mainly 4 verticals. The agri-food vertical, where we will have the support of Arla Foods, a company from Denmark, that will engage with the companies selected in this vertical. In manufacturing, where we will have the support of MADE, the Manufacturing Association of Denmark, an association that involves companies like Danfoss, Legos, Vestas, or Lego. In healthcare, the corporate support will come from FENIN, the Spanish Association of Healthcare, and in civil engineering, the companies will have the possibility to engage with Ferrovial, a multinational that is focused in giving services in different fields like trash, airports, etc. But if your company doesn't fit in any of these 4 prioritized verticals, you can still also apply, because we will also receive application in the Opt-in Disruptive Innovation vertical, where any company in the robotics field can apply.
So yes, thank you, Roy. This is indeed a very strong consortium, and I would like to launch the second interactive session with the audience. We would like to understand if the companies involved into robotics today have a vertical specialization. So in which sector do you intend to apply? Do you intend to apply in agri-food, healthcare, manufacturing, or civil engineering, or even open disruptive innovation? For this particular questionnaire, I have allowed it multiple response. So maybe that's a question for you, Roy. Do we expect the companies to have really one expertise, one vertical specialty, or they could have multiple?
Yeah, of course, we will receive applications from companies specialized in just one vertical and in several verticals. The point of applying to one or other vertical is overall related. I would say it could be related with whom of the corporates in the consortium the companies can be more interested in participating with. But yeah, an advice here, maybe, of course, the Opt-in Disruptive Innovation vertical, we expect to be the vertical in which we will receive more applications. So I would advise you to apply to any of the other, if you fit in any of the other verticals, okay? Because our goal is more or less, now we are going to select 20 companies, and our goal is here to select more or less the same number of companies from each of the 5 verticals, okay? Around 4 companies per vertical.
Okay, so we have a breakdown. So we have a breakdown which is, let's say, equal between manufacturing and healthcare, with 43% each. 26% of the companies are interested in or focused on agri-food, and much less in this particular audience in civil engineering. Of course, this is just a snapshot of our audience today. This is not what we think we're going to have. We would like to have evenly distributed companies among these 5 verticals. So thank you for your answers. So my next question, Roy, would be about the technologies and the criteria of eligibility. So what do we consider as eligible in terms of technology and company profile?
Okay, well, the technologies where the partners of the consortium have more expertise, and therefore that will be also prioritized inside the program, will be the system development, mechatronics, perception, navigation, human-robot interaction, cognition, and AI, okay? And in terms of eligibility, here it is important to highlight that on one side we have the eligibility criteria, those criterion that the companies must meet to be eligible to participate in the program. And on the other side, we have the ideal profile of companies, so that as closer as you are of the ideal profile of company that we are looking for, more possibilities you will have to be eligible, okay? To be beneficiary of the program. So regarding the eligibility criteria, we are looking for companies for European companies. It is important that the eligible companies are companies based in Europe or in the associated countries, but you can apply from more than 100 countries all over the world. The list of countries where you can apply is listed in the section 3 of the guide for applicants in our website, though only companies established in Europe or associated countries can be beneficiaries. So if you apply from outside Europe, you must establish your company before being beneficiary of the program. Of course, the companies must be in one of the 5 verticals that we have presented and using one of the core technologies. Okay, these are the main eligible criteria. There are also minor eligible criteria like the use of English and so on. You have the whole details in section 3 of the guide for applicants. I really encourage you to read it to be sure that your company is that you meet all the eligibility criteria. Okay, and regarding the ideal profile, we are looking for companies. We are looking for companies, disruptive and innovative companies that make a difference with respect to the competitions. Companies that, as more mature, the better. Companies that are looking for additional investment for scaling their business, and of course, companies that include a balanced team and with all the skills necessary to make their project happen. This is the ideal profile. Okay, so if the company is already established and you are looking for more investment and so on, this is you are really close to the type of companies we are looking for. But even companies in more early stage can apply. Okay, of course they are eligible, though the probabilities of being selected will be lower than if they meet all this ideal profile. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Roy. So, and what about the content of the project? What are the services, and what is exactly for the service that we deliver to the companies?
Okay, the value proposition of RobotUnion is on one side the value proposition of RobotUnion is based on one side on the funding value proposition, where companies can get up to more than 220,000 euros in equity free and 1 million euros in private investment. But besides this, we offer a first-class acceleration program that includes services like mentoring and training in the technical part, in the product development, mentoring and training in business from top mentors, top executives, C-levels, and so on. Internationalization and dissemination services, participation in world-class events like Slash, 4 Years From Now, etc. PR exposure, and access to public and private investment. We help the companies to grow by getting funding both from private and public sources, and also engagement with corporates. Engage with the corporates means that the corporates in the consortium could be interested in doing business with the beneficiaries, in doing a pilot, or even in hiring their services for working with them. Okay. The program is a 12-month acceleration program where in each of the open calls we will select 20 companies, 20 companies that 20 companies start, but only 4 finish the acceleration program, because RobotUnion is a funnel, is an acceleration program, a funnel approach, where the 20 companies that start at the beginning will participate in the feasibility study and will get 3,000 euros for doing this feasibility study. It will be prepared together with the technical and the business mentors. After this, and after the 2 first months of the acceleration program, only the 10 best companies will enter in the product acceleration. In this product acceleration, these 10 companies can get up to 120,000 euros. These companies will be assigned research in residence that will help them to develop their products through this phase. In month 7 of the acceleration program, we'll start the live due diligence for the business acceleration program, where just 8 startups will get to this phase. And in month 10 of the acceleration program, we'll start the go-to-market. Well, just the 4 best startups will get to this phase, and these 4 best startups can get up to 100,000 euros extra. This means that in the 12 months of the acceleration program, companies can get up to 223,000 euros in equity free, and those companies that get to the last phase, to the go-to-market phase, will have also the possibility of get up to 1 million euros in private investment.
Yes, indeed, because at the end of this process, the goal is indeed to enable the companies to raise some fund, to prepare them for private investment. So, Geraldine, could you comment a little bit on how this aspect will be managed in partnership with Chrysalix and Odense?
Yeah. So actually, as you can see from the presentation from Roy, the consortium of RobotUnion is very a strong consortium. So if you enter into the RobotUnion acceleration program, you will have access to a great team providing access to technology, business connection, and also access to financing. How do we do that? To invest in you about 223,000 euros and to generate more than 1 million euros investment from private investment. When we consider private investment, it's 2 things. One is contract. We want you to get contract with industrial companies because it's always good to have customers and to generate revenues for your company. So this point will be addressed very simply. We want to help you to have something to show to customers. So we will develop with you proof of concept, and that will be developed by, in collaboration actually, with the RobotUnion technical teams, developing with you a proof of concept, like demonstrators, so you can showcase that to customers. More than that, we will also provide you with high visibility. As you have seen from our presentation, RobotUnion is very a strong consortium. We have access to leading players in their field, in agro-food, in civil engineering, in health, and also in manufacturing. So you will benefit from this network to present and to introduce your solution. You will be invited to events as well, so you will be able to introduce to the world, basically, what you can offer. So that's one part which is more dedicated to engage with customers. You will be also invited to raise interest for private investments. And this is exactly what I'm going to explain more detail here. As you can see in this slide, we have 3 partners, part of RobotUnion, quite active in private investment. We have Odense City, which has also a very strong network of private investors, and they are organizing 2 events every year where they're gathering investors quite interested in robotics. So if you enter into the RobotUnion program, you will have the chance to enter into this process as well, so to be introduced to private investors. We have also Chrysalix Venture Capital, which is an investment fund based in Canada, but with strong investment in Europe, especially for robotics company, because they are also partnering with RobotBuddy. So they are really interested in robotic and automation, and they are part of the partner. So they will provide you with support not only at the end of the process, but all along your support to increase your investment readiness. And that will be also the goal of BlueMorpho, to support you to reach investment readiness, to be attractive for private investors when it's going to be the right moment for you. We're going to bring our access to investors in Europe who are very interested in smart factory. We have a lot of demand actually from private investors right now because smart factory and industry 4.0 start to be a very hot topic here in Europe. If you do not want to have private investors, we can also help you to get access to bank, so to have access to loans. And finally, through the consortium, we will also provide you with access to public funding. The SME instrument is also a very good tool that you can benefit from. And all the support you will get through the RobotUnion acceleration program will be very useful to set up very attractive application for the SME instruments where you can raise quite a lot of money, up to 2 or 3 million euros. So you will get all this support if you enter into the process, and even though you are not as a finalist in RobotUnion, you will be part of the ecosystem, so you will benefit from it. What I can tell is that it is working. I can give you the example of this kind of action. We have conducted another project, which is Gate One, where we have invested 50,000 K only in companies, and not in companies, but in development program. And they have generated really good customer traction. Some of them have already raised 1 million euros contracts. And in 2 years, we have already generated 5 million euros revenues for those companies. So it is working, and we are really pleased to be able to provide with this consortium a specific program in robotics.
Okay, thank you very much, Geraldine. I'm going back a little bit in the slides. Roy, there's not only funding in this project, but also some kind of business support or business coaching. So all is done remotely, but there's we mentioned the technical support, so maybe you can comment on who are the experts, the technical experts that the people can have access to.
Yeah. Inside the consortium, we have 5 research and technology organizations in which all of them, they are among the top research organizations in Europe in robotics in different fields. And during the product acceleration, you will have the support of those companies, both by receiving mentoring from the researchers, by receiving support from the researchers to develop part of your products, and also by having access to the facilities of those organizations. Those organizations are VTT from Finland, the Danish Technological Institute based in Odense in Denmark, where one of the main robotics hubs in Europe is based, Odense Robotics, where there are 160 companies in this sector. And there in Odense were established companies like Universal Robots, that now is one of the main references in cobots all over the world. We also have TU Dev, that is part of Robo Valley, together with Chris Alex, one of the venture capitalists in the consortium. We also have Tecnalia from Spain, that they are overall focused in robots for healthcare and in human-robot interaction. And then we have PIAP from Poland. So you will have the possibility of collaborate with all these research organizations that will help you in developing or in improving your products. But not only this, in the business part, for the business acceleration, you will have access to a pool of more than 80 mentors. Those mentors are top executives, C-levels, and successful entrepreneurs. Among those, we have, for example, Steve Cadigan, former vice president of LinkedIn globally, that was involved in LinkedIn when they were in the years of the most growth of the company. We also have, for example, Tony Rowrick, former global director of Booking.com globally. Tony Rowrick has been working with us in the last years and has been part of one of the main successes of the companies that we have accelerated so far. Grumpy have a company that is growing like hell overall in the US with and that is about to close a Series B round. Also, we have as mentors, for example, people from the MIT, the CEO for Spain and Portugal of Google, and so on. This is something important to highlight. In the acceleration programs we have worked so far, and most of the companies enter in the acceleration program because of the money. The money was the key point that made them apply. But when the acceleration program ends, the companies, what they most value is the services received and overall the services, the support of the mentors. This is something that is really helpful for the companies, and that the relationship doesn't finish when the acceleration program ends, but usually it continues. In some cases, even the mentors can be investors in the companies. And another benefit of participating in the program is to receive the special offers that we have closed with different providers. So far, we have closed offers with around 15 providers. Among them, Amazon Web Services that offer 10,000 euros for free for the companies that join our acceleration program. Also, for example, SendGrid, where you have 2,000 euros of email marketing. Also, companies like Braintree, where the first 60,000 euros spent are for free. And just to give you a shot of the benefits you could get from these different sponsors.
Okay, very good. So now, since we are a little bit running out of time, could you summarize the application process? What will be the selection process, and what are the deadlines for this first call?
Okay. You can apply. You can go to our website, RobotUnion.eu, and there you have a link to the application form. The first that you have to do is fill in the whole application form. Take into account that you can fill in the application form and edit and submit it and edit it as many times as you want before the deadline. So if you complete it, you can proceed, submit it, and edit it as many times as you want before the deadline. And then in the application form, in the selection process, we will follow different phases for doing the selection. The first thing that we do for doing the selection is checking the eligibility criteria of the different companies. If they meet the eligible criteria included in the section 3 of the guide for applicants, then we do a pre-filtering of the companies. There are some questions in the application form where we measure how close the companies are to the ideal type of projects we are looking for, and based on the answers to these questions, we do a pre-filter of the applications. Then the applications are evaluated by a pool of independent experts that will score the applications in terms of 3 criteria: excellence, impact, and implementation. And the best companies, around 40 or 50 companies, will be invited to the final selection committee. That in this committee, the companies have to pitch in front of a jury composed of the partners of the consortium and some external advisors. And only the 20 best companies in this final selection committee or jury day will enter in the acceleration program. It's important to say that the whole process is online, but this last phase in the selection committee where the companies must pitch face-to-face in front of the jury. That's it. Just let you know that you can apply until July the 3rd, that you can apply through RobotUnion.eu. You can connect with us in the different social networks, and if you have any doubt, you can, of course, tell us now, or if the doubt arises in the future, you can connect us through this email. As you will see, applying is something quite easy. It won't take you much time. I encourage you, if you have a fit with this program, I really encourage you to apply.
Okay, so that's the last question I'm going to ask to the audience. So now that you have received a little bit more information and live information, do you intend to apply to the RobotUnion project? And if you have some questions, and if you still have time, we could take maybe 1 or 2 questions. You have a specific chat box for that, so feel free to send us your questions. Okay, so I think that we have now, good feedback. Good feedback from the people. About 88 or 90% of the people here will apply to the project, and so I think that's a very good, very positive feedback from the audience. So thank you very much. So if people have some questions, I'm going through the questions. Okay, it seems that we had okay. So no specific questions. So maybe you can comment. Last but not least, comment on how successful are these acceleration projects. Do you have some inputs on that, Roy?
Yeah. Yes. Well, as I told you, we've been working in acceleration programs since 2014. In the last years, we have accelerated several companies, and it's also interesting to get some insights or some inputs from the companies in how if those acceleration program works and how those programs work. For the companies that we accelerated, the net promoter score of those that participate in our programs is above 9, and what they most value, the things that the companies most value, is how their mentors open the companies the possibility of getting more investment and also of getting to new clients. So for most of the companies, it was cornerstone for the success. But going to some studies, for example, to a study done by the École Polytechnique of Paris together with UNOODLE, that they analyzed almost 3,000 startups that participating in almost 500 acceleration programs from all over the world. Some of the conclusions that they got is that all the companies that participating in acceleration programs got to multiply by 10 the funding received after the acceleration program. Also that per each $9,000 that they got in the acceleration program, they could generate a job for each 9,000 euros, and the success rate is much higher for those companies that participate in the programs. It's around 64% higher.
So well, we can take a few more questions from the audience. So some people have already submitted the application form. So they would like to know if they can have a feedback in advance of the closing deadline. Is it possible, or do they have just to start over?
Sorry, could you repeat?
Yeah, the question is, some people have already submitted the application, and they would like to know if they can get the feedback in advance of the closing.
No, they wouldn't. It wouldn't be fair with respect to other companies. If they have any particular doubt, they can share this doubt with us or now, or sending us an email to info@robotunion.eu. But we cannot share feedback previously, because this way it wouldn't be fair. We should do the same with all the companies, and that's not possible.
Another question, is it possible to apply when a company has already a prototype?
Yes, of course. And the more mature you are, the more possibilities you will have to be in the program. Okay, so if you have a prototype, even if you have a product, an operational product, you can apply.
Okay, so the best is always to contact you and open the discussion on what could be the technical content of your project, of course. So some questions on the technologies that could be used. We talked about that. What stage of the company we are looking for? We also commented on that. So we're going to share the slides, of course, and the system. Some people may have had some difficulties with the sound at the beginning, so everything has been recorded and will be available online very soon. So Colombian companies, we have some people from Colombia, so thank you very much for connecting to this web platform webinar. Unfortunately, Colombian company cannot apply. Or you will have
to... Sorry. But yeah, in this case, is what I said at the beginning. Colombian companies can apply, but they can only be beneficiaries if they establish in Europe once they are winners. Okay, so you can apply from Colombia, as it is indicated in section 3.2 of the guide for applicants. That you can see all the countries, all the eligible countries. But for those countries that are from outside Europe or associated countries, if you are finally winner, you need to establish in one of the 28 countries from Europe to be beneficiary, to get the money and receive the services.
Okay. So other questions on the review of the application again? Can we have a review of our application with the mentors? That's one question here.
Once the deadline is finished and once the evaluation starts, we will send feedback to all the applications, indicating the comments received from the score that you receive and the comments received from the different evaluators. But this is in the selection process. In the application process, unfortunately, it is not possible. The only thing is that if you have any particular doubts, or if you are not sure if you are indicating the right information in the right section or whatever, you can tell us, and this kind of doubts we can solve them to you, but we cannot do a pre-review of the application to let you know and give you feedback. This is not possible.
Okay, so again, another question on the maturity of the company. Does it make sense for a startup to participate if they already realize some sales? I think that you already answered, but I think that you can make a very quick answer.
Yes, you can. You can, of course. And again, the more mature the company is, the more possibilities it will have to be beneficiary.
Okay. So I think that will be the last question for today. I just have to thank again Geraldine. Thank you, Geraldine, for participating, and thank you, Roy, for your extensive explanations.
So thank you very much. Just a short comment. So indeed, we will send the slides. You have also our contact details on the slides. So if you have any questions, you can contact us, of course. And we will make sure you have answer to all your questions that you have typed in the question box.
Thank you very much, and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.